Hello guys, welcome back. So for the next two parts, this part and then the next part of this video, we're about to read this one portion part that contains some very naughty things in this fic. So be advised that if your age is 18 or over, you can watch this one. Yeah, you can watch this. You can definitely watch this next two parts. Okay, the parts 9, parts 10 overall. However, if you're under 18, you have to get to the part 12 because this is part 10. Next day it's gonna be part 11. And then the next after that it's gonna be part 12. So you will not miss anything about it. This is just parts 10 and parts 11 are gonna be some things that I will not able to say because there are some very NSFW stuff there. So don't bother listening to me reading them. But if you want to take a risk and go for it, be my guest. But you gotta be careful because it's very juicy. Yep, this part is gonna be very spicy, and that's pretty much to it. Okay? Alright. So for this part, I'm gonna read from He Has Always Known That Lance is Dictating all the way to and rolls sips. Okay, that is where I have for the part 10, and then part 11 will be the rest of this fic that I'm not gonna. We won't be able to see. You won't be able to see it until I get through all of it. You know, I'm very nervous for me this reading this one for two parts, the parts 10 and parts 11. So, all right, here we go. Pete has always known that Lance is addicting. He is known for the moment they met, from the moment he left that shop with his first tattoo, and the lightness in his chest that followed him all the way home. Ignited again every time he looked at his new ink, every time he touched it, and imagined Lance's slender, skillful hands, the little pinch in his brow as he concentrated. He's known from the moment he found himself stepping foot in that shop time and time again, either for new tattoos or simply see them under the guise of visiting page. He's known for months as he dreamed of bronze skin, eyes to the ocean, and a smile to rival the sun itself. He's known from the moment he saw those elegant hands move, speaking to him with ease and fluidity he's not used to getting from anyone that he hasn't known for years. He's known from the moment those hands touched, calculating, precise, yet gentle and caring, carving art into his flesh without a second of hesitation or uncertainty. Calm as the eye of a storm in his element. He's known from the moment those blue eyes catch his, from the moment that cocky smile flipped his stomach upside down, sending him to a state of vertigo as wasps and butterflies fought on his chest. He's always known that Lance is addicting, but he never really understood the depth of it until he truly got a taste. Once he did, he knew he was beyond saving. They fumbled through the door to his apartment, lips locked and hands groping. It had taken him far too long to get the dang thing open. Keys fumbling in his trembling hands as Lance plastered himself to Keith's back, lips on his exposed neck, tongue racing the symbol he had tattooed there. Hands dipping past the waistband of his shorts, just enough to be teasing, just enough to make him shudder and bite his lip. All the while his hips made slow, circular motions behind him, running into him in the show of desperation to contradict his otherwise slow movements. Once the door was open, they had nearly fallen through, and Key dragged Lance all the way in before his having to take a shot, locking them away, private, alone. Finally, finally, he pushes him up against the wall right there, barreled 3 feet to his apartment, tossing his keys vaguely in the direction of the side table. He knows the second that the keys leave his hands that he's going to miss. He doesn't care. He's too busy drowning in his taste, in the feel of him, in the scent of him. He grasps for the zipper to the hoodie Lance is wearing. As cute as it is seeing him in his clothes, it needs to be gone. Now he zips it down, struggling to make it detach, pushing against the fabric with shaking hands till Lance gets the hint and helps him shrug it off. Keith's jacket comes up in much the same fashion, Impatient hands, desperate shoves. Their hands are back on each other before it even hits the ground. The process of kicking off shoes is a lot less graceful, and he has no idea where they had land as they're tossed aside. He bites the land's bottom lip, waiting for the predictable gasp, the slight opening, before pushing his tongue inside, tasting more, tasting deeper, looks hard and deep. Doesn't care if he's being pushing, doesn't care if it's sloppy or uncoordinated. Wants more, needs more. Lance does seem to mind. His back arches, sucking in breaths and breathing out heavily through his nose. His hands find a way to Keith's hair, ripping out of his forehead until the bird deep. He gets a firm grip, clenches his fist to give that soft but sharp tug. He has Keith tilting his head back just a fraction, moan vibrating deep in his throat. Lance searches for it, claiming his mouth, just as savage and sloppy as Keith had been, just as desperate, just as needy. Keith says his camp forward to Lance's, swallowing the vibration in his moan, rather than the sharp intake of breath. Something about Lance's lips, his hands, make Keith's brain a short circuit. All proper functions fizzling out, makes his body run on autopilot, fills his mind with fog, drowning in lost in sensations, creates a disconnect between body and mind, leaves him reeling, out of body, yet unable to still feel everything, crave everything. He can't bring himself to mind, can't bring himself to stop. He likes it, loves it, wants more, more, more. He's drowning. He doesn't want to come up for air. His lungs burn. No amount of desperate gas is able to fill them, but he can't stop. Not when Lance's tongue in his mouth and his hands are sliding down his back, fingers curling around his butt, squeezing, pulling tight against him. Keith's back arches, mouth dropping open as a guttural frick escapes his lips. He may be deaf now, but it turns out old habits are hard to break, especially when pushed beyond reason, as he is. Turns out cursing is one of those things. There's simply something primal about muttering curses, words that slip out in the heat of the moment, revealing tension just as much as gasp or a moan. He's willing to bet Lance mildly, probably babbles, all incoherent and voice cracking. He really freaking wishes he could hear that. He doesn't have time to dwell on it, however, because Lancey are at his collarbone and drives away any thoughts besides, oh, frick, holy ish, jeez, yes, more, like that, oh god, oh god, oh god. The world whirls and his back hits the wall. Lance is still there, pressed against him, mouth at his neck, hands sliding up his sides, beneath his shirt, up his ribs, down his chest, long fingers splayed to fill as much as he can, down his stomach, hooking into the waistband of his shorts. And then Lance is gone, leaving him breathless and reeling. He blinks, seeing nothing but the wall across the hall. It takes him for a moment for his senses to come back to him, to feel the hands on his hips, lips, soft, tantalizing, pressed to his stomach, and he gasps, back arching. His gaze snaps downward, catching second Lance on his knees in front of him, lips sliding teasingly across his exposed stomach, making his muscles clench and coil. Then he looks up, and Kate is gone, spiraling through the ceiling and into the atmosphere as Lance gazes up at him, eyes dark and lidded, lips pulled back to a coy smile. Then Kate knows exactly what he's doing to him, and that he is gosh darn proud of it. Hold eye contact. He moves one onto Keith's hip bones, sticking his tongue out slowly, revealing that blue bead that always teased and haunted him, and drags his tongue slowly, oh so slowly, from hip bone, making sure Keith can feel the metal pressed to his skin. Keith's breath shudders out, holding it until Lance is done before leaving in a rush. Jeez. He breathes and exhales, hands quivering and uncertain. He pressed then to the wall behind him, rounding, steady. Lance's smile is deadly, the perfect mix between a fang chagrin and a predatory smirk, makes heat rush through his veins, a live wire that leaves sparks crackling along his skin. The fingers of one had curled to his waistband, hovering there, plying but not pushing. He holds eye contact with Keith, brows raised in questioning silence with his free hand. Can I? The vague gesture is more than enough for Keith to know exactly what he's asking. He just nods, licking his bottom lip, not subtly dry. Lance just smiles, as reassuring as it is eager. It's cute. And no one, repeat, no one has the right to look at that cute wow on his knees, popping the button of his shorts and unzipping them, pushing them to his ankles. He looks up, grins as he just received a present, and palms Keith's semi through his boxers. Keith's head whips back so fast it cracks against the wall. He squeezes his eyes shut, hesitant as pain radiates from his head and pleasure rushes through the rest of him. Lance's hand stills, and he looks down in time to see the look of worry. Keith gives him a small, shaky smile. When he doesn't move right away, he lifts a hand from the wall, tenderly running his fingers through Lance's hair, nails slightly scratching at his scalp, cupping his cheek. Lance hums. He feels it and leans into the touch, eyes wide and closed for a moment. When they open, that spark of determination is back, and Keith knows he's screwed. Lance leans forward and has no shame as he mouths him through the thin material of his boxers. He breathes in sharply through his nose, stiffening, fingers curling slightly into his hair. He presses the tongue flat to him, letting Keith feel that stud against the lamp. He wondered for ages about how that might feel on him. Now he's going to find out. Holy frick, he's about to find out. Either Lance recognizes his eagerness or he's driven by his own impatience, but it's not long before he's pulling away. Herb Keith's boxers and pulling them down, aching slow, revealing him inch by inch, staring at him with rapt attention and wide-eyed awe, like he's something to be marveled at, like he's something worth being gentle with. He has never really been shy, not about his body at least, but here he is, holding his breath as his half-hard thing at attention from the man. He's been dreaming about it for almost an entire freaking year. Heat rushes from his neck and settles onto his cheeks. The longer Lance just kneels there and stares at it. Like that's all he's doing. Just staring. The smirk's gone. The eagerness dissipated. Just blank face and staring. He clenches his fist against the wall, willing himself to be still, to wait, but feeling more and more restless. He stares at the top of Lance's head, apprehension rolling through his gut, rising up his chest in thick sludge, threatening to choke him. Lance cocks his head to the side, hands slipping up Keith's thigh, slow but not teasing, more curious. Without any hesitation, he slides his hand over, fingers wrap around the base of it, causing his breath to itch. But then he just holds it, staring again. When it looks up, it catches Keith off guard. He jumps, suddenly caught by those curious eyes. He doesn't look upset, so that's at least something. He raises an eyebrow, eyes looking down before rising again. His hand shifts, fingers slowly rising up his shaft, thumb sliding up the underside, rising lightly toward the metal ghost beneath the skin. Oh, oh. Lance doesn't know about it, did he? Well, he does now. Keith flickers to his feet as he starts. When? Keith looks back to him, small, soft, and sheepish. A little over 2 years ago. Frick. It seems Lance's lips formed over as he ducks his head down again, twisted his wrist just a little to get a better look at the barbell that goes horizontally through his skin beneath the head. Looks good. I like it. He signs, glancing up again. And just like that, the heat is back. Lance looked at him through half-lit eyes, revealing so wide his eyes looked black, wet and red, and lips curved into most devious of smiles. He makes a show of licking those lips, little blue bead peeking out. He's close enough that Keith can feel every exhale caress his heated skin. I want to taste it. He's pretty sure he makes some sort of choke sound, because that's what sure as heck feels like. But he doesn't have much time to react beyond that before Lance leans forward and runs the flat of his tongue along his length from base to tip. And holy heck, he can feel the small, hard, uneven bead trail all the way up, surrounded by the slick and wetness of his tongue. Lance paused, bringing that devilish tongue back into his mouth, screwing up that key, looking for all the world like the cat that got the substance. Keith leans his head back, forcing his grip to loosen Lance's hair, then his eyes fall close with a shortened breath. Lance is barely touching, and he's already a mess. Yet he can't bring himself to feel ashamed. Let Lance see what it does to him. Let him see how he has to do with to make Keith fall apart. Let him see how much Keith wants him, how weak Keith is to him. It'll go straight to his ego. But Keith isn't entirely sure what that's a bad thing. He barely gets any time to center himself, to calm his raging heartbeat before Lance is suddenly swallowing him down. His eyes fly open, entire by tensing as Lance slips close around him, going much further down than he anticipated. It has toes curling, entire body tensing, fingers tightening in his hair once again. His mouth falls open, a strange sound escaping. Boy, is he glad he's deaf so he can't hear that. Lance goes down fast, but comes up slow, lips taut and a wet heat of his mouth setting Keith's blood on fire. He is quickly lost to sensations. Lance bobs his head, one hand working what his mouth can't reach, while his free hand gropes at his thigh, running up and down, around to his butt, to his hip, unable to be still. His tongue is bossily sinful as it dances in his mouth, fully utilizing its dexterity. And how the frick he's so good at this? Keith's heart hammers against his chest, want to press to his mouth and hold back the sounds that are slipping out. He can feel how loud they are and knows how embarrassing they must be. His other hand stays buried Lance's hair, not to move him, but as an anchor. His legs are weak, and if it weren't for the wall, he had fallen the moment Lance touched it. Pathetic, weak, but dear Lord, no, does it feel good. He oversensitized, lost in it, simultaneously drowning and floating off the space. He doesn't notice how close he is until that familiar tight heat starts up low in his gut, building hard and strong. He gaps, back arching off the wall, and hand tugging a little harder and Lance's hair. Lance, wait! He stops instantly, popping up of him in a way that's so visual obscene. Spit slicking his lips and his chin, hair mess, so filthy, and it does nothing to help Keith's mental state. He looks up at him, cautious curiosity in those dark blue eyes. Keith takes a deep breath, trying to steady himself, ground himself, find his voice. He feels shaken, but there's no doubt steadier than his hand to the mouth. If you keep, I'm close. The slow curl of his smile should be illegal. Sounds quick. Okay. Making it look like a short slope before leaning back in. He swirls his tail around the head, making his hand to gently tease his fears against Keith's. It should not be as hot as this, but it has to keep quivering. Then he gets back to work, slides into his mouth, and takes him deep, moaning around him in a way that has to be a wanton and loud and jeez. Does he feel it? He feels an answer vibration in his own throat. Then Lance tracks back, sucking hard, tongue swirling. He has a moment of panic, dangerously close to the edge. But he already warned Lance. If he's in this position, he knows the dangers. So Key lets go, squeezes his eyes shut as his gut clenches, sees stars as his mouth drops open. Throat tight, choking back sound he spills to Lance's mouth. I think he loses time, blacks out for a moment, lives for several seconds, minutes, hours among the dark abyss and the stars behind his eyelids. Barely feels the wall at his back, despite it being the only thing that's holding him up. It's all he can do to simply breathe. He doesn't come back down to earth until he feels a hand on his hip, another running warm fingers along his jaw, his cheek, brushing hair away from his forehead. He opens his eyes to find that beautiful face in front of him, blue eyes soft and molten and fond. That smile so subtle, so gentle, barely there yet brighter than the sun. It makes his chest squeeze. Checks his hair to trait back up again. Oh God, that's going to be the death of him. Good? He nods. Very. Lance struggles, his laughing face is beautiful and sweet and soft. The way he shakes slightly, the way his cheeks rise and crinkle his eyes, the way his smile goes just a little lopsided. What now? He asked before setting his hand on Keith's hips. Second step closer, pressing his forehead to Keith's, still smiling, still sweet, still so obnoxiously proud of himself. Keith wants to shake that. Keith wants to shatter the mountain on which he stands, wants to rip out from beneath him and watch him fall, wants to see that confidence crumble in ecstasy, wants to see the face he makes when he moans his name, wants to shatter and build him back up again. He reaches forward, curling a fist into the front of his shirt. Tips chins to the lips are just a breath apart, gazes at him through half-lit eyes, and says in the voice he could feel is husky. Now, I'm gonna write you until you can't think straight. I'm gonna find out what your pretty little face looks like when you're screaming my name. Lance leans back far enough that his wide eyes could focus on Keith's face, pretty lips, red and swollen, parted slightly in surprise. Adam's are bobbing as he swallows heavily. He licks his lips, Keith's eyes drawn to the moment. Before giving a short, quick nod. Yes, please. Keith smirks, feelings of keen confidence as Lance stuttered. He pushes Lance hard, having him stumble back a few steps before following after him, leaving into him to claim his lips once again. He can taste himself on Lance's tongue, but he can't bring himself to care. They stumble through Keith's apartment, steps uncertain and on shaking legs. He tries to guide them as best he can with his eyes closed, lips locked, and Lance's tongue in his mouth. Their hands are everywhere, arming to find a place to simply rest. He tugs at Lance's shirt all at once, extremely annoyed that it's there at all. Grabs at it, pulling, so Lance takes the hint and attempts to struggle out of it. It requires him to pull apart for a moment. The second it's over his mouth, Keith's back at his lips, biting and licking his way past them. Lance gets stuck for a moment with his arms in the tank, halfway over his head. As soon as it's cast to the floor, his hands are on Keith's, pulling the shirt over his head with much more ease. Then there's bare skin, warm and smooth, lined and lean. His hands explored the expansive Lance's chest, fingers dipping into the definition, mapping it out. He pulls back briefly, taking a noticeably drink in the sight of his bronzed flesh. The tattoo sleeve on one arm, riding up his shoulder, the mass of blue forget-me-nots falling down his opposite side, the sparkling silk beads of his hip piercings that stand out in stark relief against the skin beneath them. And then he's leaned forward, dipping his head to run his tongue over that chest, tasting the salt of his skin, hands on his hips, wrapping around his waist to dip past his shorts, Herman's button the grip tight enough to have him arching back, hips bucking forward. Bedroom. Right. Bedroom. They need to get there. That's where all his stuff is. And the bed. He'd be willing to take Lance anywhere at this point, but some part of him, the side that's still struggling to keep from Johnny, wants to have their first time in the proper bed. Lance deserves that. Deserves to be taken in a place that's soft and warm and comfortable. And if that means Keith the Ledger handing out to Splugies while he's splayed out over his sheets, yeah, he's okay with that too. He pushes. They stumble, hit walls, trip over the Scott's shoes and whatever the heck else Keith has left on the floor. He takes a step backwards, pulling at Lance, who loses his balance and pushes into him. Several rapid steps backwards, and his knees hit the side of the couch, and they both tumble over onto it. Keith lands on his back, legs still half caught on the armrest. Lance lands on top of him, knocking the wind out of him and head hitting his jaw. They both groan, and Lance rolls to the side, falling off the edge of the couch to land on the floor. They take a moment to simply breathe. Keith lays a hand over his chest, the other flopping off the edge of the couch as he stares at the ceiling. He doesn't move until he feels warm fingers slowly intertwine with his own. He turns it, propping himself up on the elbow, he gazes over the edge of the couch to where Lance lies on the floor. This is burst into a cute little pout, brows firmly pinched together, but he's clear he's trying not to smile. Put the couch in. This is the living room, dummy. You really shouldn't leave couches out in the middle of everything, Keith. It's dangerous. Keith rolls his eyes, then probably rolls himself off the couch. He makes sure the couch is so it doesn't land too heavily on Lance, but it's still hard not to have the air leaving and rush. Keith settles on top of him. Can't bring himself to feel awkward despite being naked, while Lance is not. Crosses his hands over his chest and rests his chin on top of him. Relaxes at him from his perch, lounges on him like he's been doing it all his life. Gazes at that pretty face, takes it all in. He doesn't think he'll ever get tired of looking at Lance. Lance's grin finally breaks through, slow and lazy. He signs awkwardly with Keith lying on his chest, but he manages well enough for him to understand. Hey there, beautiful. Come here often? It completes it in a waggle of his eyebrows. Keith rolls his eyes, rolling his hips down in the slow, dirty grind. And it's too soon for him to be hard again. Make it feel Lance through his shorts, and yeah, that's enough to send tingling desire coiling down his spine. Lance arches off the floor, beautiful as his mouth parts for a gasp before he's falling back flat. He gives a Keith a sly smile, eyes dark and contain hunger. Gonna screw me in a living room? Dirty boy. No, Keith says, sitting up as he does, slow and languid, dragging and uncoiling his body as he does, just for the show. Lance watches, licks his lips, hands settling on Keith's hips, rubbing down and up his eyes. He drags his hands down Lance's chest, fingers blade wide, stops at his stomach, and arches his back and rolls his hips.